Welcome to the Minnesota Newspaper Museum at the Minnesota State Fair. What we have here is a living history museum where volunteer printers come from all parts of the state every year for the State Fair's 12 days to show how we used to make newspapers with a different technology. The labor is volunteer and the money is volunteer. we depend on contributions to financing our museum. Welcome to our museum. Hope you enjoy it. So step right in and take a look.
This machine actually revolutionized the printing industry. Most papers before this machine was invented were eight-page papers. After this machine was invented, they could print 24 pages, 36 pages, because you could set type much faster. You could set type at 8 lines a minute, and it sets a slug like this, what we call a linotype slug. It's 1 line of type. These come out of that machine in the order that you set them. And after you set a story, a compositor will come and get the type and put it in the paper. The people that operated this machine, they weren't called typists, they were called typesetters. And they were linotype operators.
The advent of letterpress was a major breakthrough in the history and the industrialization of our nation as well as the world, because it brought about an automated system of producing and disseminating news. With the automation of this press as well as the linotype, more news could be produced on any given day and disseminated all across the nation as technology developed. But here at the museum,
one of the great things about newspapers is as much as they've changed over the decades, over the hundreds of years now, there are still common similarities. You could take an editor from 1850, drop him into my office, and there would be elements that he would recognize. Not the computer, not the presses that are now run electronically, not the way we actually make the pages, but the pens, the pencils, the paper, the general atmosphere of a newsroom. I mean, I've been in it 28 years. The ambience hasn't changed. Someone asked me once, you know, if a newspaper could be a person, what would you want your newspaper to be? I'd want it to be the kind of the big beefy guy at the bar that buys you a drink, slaps you on the back, and tells you a story you didn't know when you walked in the bar. I believe newspapers remain the bulwark of democracy. In the society that we have right now, where information is key, we remain the chief information providers for all the, and I welcome it, for all the bloggers and all the online commenters and the radio and TV. And to say you remain the bulwark of democracy, that means you're at the zoning meetings where there is no one else. That means you're at the city, you know, the subcommittees of city council, watching local government. If there's one chief role that newspapers have to continue to fill, it is to be your watchdog, and then to be a fair provider of that information. Newspapers have a long history. They have been with us for a very long time, and they've changed over time, and they've been challenged. You know, newspapers have been going out of business for about 300 years. Virtually since the printing press was put into place. You know, radio was going to put us out of business, and TV was going to put us out of business, and now the internet's going to put us out of business. Well, we're on the internet. We're part of the internet. Here's my news flash on this for everybody. The only people who can put us out of business are us. And that's if we give up the fundamentals that drive us. So the value of a place like this, I think, is to see and feel, and in some cases be able to touch what the building blocks of what has been, I believe, selfishly and not objectively, to be a great business. One thing that you have to remember about newspapers that I take some comfort in, and I think people can take some comfort in, is there's a certain element of permanency to them. We are, as people like to say, the first rough draft of history. and in many cases it is very rough, but it is a draft that remains. The machines that we did newspapers on still exist in places like this. And I think it's, from that permanency, I take great faith that those machines and that ink on paper will continue.